Hey guys, welcome to the next episode. This is the 101 for those who are setting up a new business, online business basics episodes.
Did we miss our music intro? Music?
We don't normally do a music intro.
Music intro? Intro music?
Well, I don't know. And we have Gary and Billy.
Welcome back.
I just introduced myself in the third. Okay, guys, so today's a good episode. We're going to jump straight into it. We're not mucking around. Today, we're going to talk about how to get traffic to your website, Gary.
We are indeed.
But before we do that, we will just quickly recap on the last episodes. Episode 1, what's in a name? How to focus on what you plan to offer, competitor analysis, and how to buy a website.
So episode 2 was all about competitor analysis. So if you want to learn about that, go to episode 2. And if you want to learn about how to buy a website, go to episode 3 in this series.
Thank you, Gary. I skipped the numbers. They're important. The episode, how to get traffic on your website, we're going to cover Google Ads, SEO, Maps, Snack Pack, Google Maps, Google Places, Google My Business, Google Business Profile.
They're all the same thing. Yeah. Everyone who has no idea what Billy's talking about, that is exactly the same thing.
It's Google Maps.
Yes,
let's just call it what it is. It's Google Maps, but Google keeps changing the name for some reason, just to mix things up. Social media and remarketing. We'll also be touching on those things too, guys. So stay tuned. Hopefully you get some useful information out of this. I'm excited. You excited, Gary?
I am indeed.
I'm looking forward to jumping into this. Call me Big Kev, mate.
Big Kev.
Yeah, you're not from around here, are you, boy?
Big Kev like to jump into things?
No, Big Kev used to be on the Danoz Direct late night infomercials. I'm Big Kev and I'm excited. And he used to like wobble his chin around when he said it.
Okay, so anyone who's like me and not from Australia and grown up inside Billy's head, that probably will make zero sense.
Yes. I love Big Kev, man. You should go back and watch it. You love it. Okay. It's on YouTube. Recap what we just talked about. Am I just reading out the notes?
You are. You're reading out the structure of the pod.
Yeah, right. So let's first talk about Google Ads deep dive. That's the first thing we're doing, isn't it, Gary?
Well, I would say that this one's not the deep dive. The following episode, so like Bill says, we're going to go for Google Ads, SEO, Google Maps, social media, and remarketing. The caveat for this episode, side note for this episode is that this is an overview, a holistic view, so that anyone who has zero idea how to get traffic on a website once that website is up and running can have an outline. Episodes 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, whatever the exact numbers are, they're going to specifically deal with those channels. So yeah, this is not a deep dive. So if I start to ramble on, if I talk too much, which is something,
I've got a secret hand signal to give you,
which
I think it's the devil one. You told me to do this.
Okay.
Yeah. Why did you go with this? Thumb in or thumb out?
You can go with any signal you want, as long as YouTube won't demonetize us for it.
Do this one.
Yeah. Just tell me to shut up if you want.
You're ruining it, Gary. Stop.
Okay.
All right. So digital marketing, I think generally is what we want to quickly kind of talk about, because look, I just want to say this because I've said it before and I haven't said it for a while. It's been a while, but it doesn't matter how any agency bundles it up and packages it up and labels it. They can call it quantum this and vortex that and, growth this and scale that and all that. It all comes down to, no matter who you're talking about, the same thing. It's Google Ads, social media, SEO, and sometimes some influencer stuff. Yeah. But that's pretty much it. It's all, if you're talking about influencer stuff, you're talking about social anyway.
Especially the pod that, especially the people that this pod is aimed at. It's all about those core channels.
Yep.
There's a number of different ways you can advertise. When you're setting up a company, there's going to be lots of people out there trying to sell you many solutions.
Yep.
99% of the businesses that I've seen start and grow and be successful focused entirely on a mix of these channels.
Right.
You don't need anything else, not really.
Nah, that's got the lion's share of people's attention now.
Yeah.
Right. If you've got time to to waste on your smartphone these days, you're searching Google, you're on YouTube, you're on social, you're searching through clicking on results in the organic section.
Exactly.
Google. So
even if you're not wasting time, if you are looking for a photographer in Dubbo,
yes,
you go to Google and look for it. You're not going to get the phone book out. You're not going to look at your fridge for a magnet that you were given 6 months ago.
That's right. Not anymore.
This is what you need. Okay, so you are at this point, you are more than on your way to running a company. You have done your competitor analysis. You know what your prices are going to be. You have maybe worked in this industry for a long time, and you've also built and bought your website, and you are now ready for that website to receive traffic. The focus or the reason you would want traffic on your website is to generate inquiries.
Yes.
And
or sales.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, each one of these comes with its own positives and minuses. Google Ads, for example, is expensive.
Yes.
But it is nearly instant. You know, I'm an experienced Google Ads manager, and a company could come to me today and say they want a Google Ads account and buy this afternoon. They would be getting traffic on their website. The idea is to get relevant traffic.
Right.
Okay, so the good point is that it's instant. The bad point is that it's expensive.
Yes.
SEO's good point is that you get lots and lots of traffic. You get a lot more traffic than you do with Google Ads. However, the poor point or the bad point is that it takes
time.
It takes time, 6 to 7 months to start.
You've got to invest every month for a number of months before you get one call, one sale, one iota.
Yeah, right? Exactly. And this is what we spoke about when we were talking about how to buy a website. You know, we spent a lot of time skirting around the edges of what is SEO.
Yes.
So for a recap, quickly, it's search engine optimization, and you are telling your website you want to appear on Google for these words, but Google doesn't let you do that instantly.
No, not anymore. There's ways of gaming the systems, but they keep updating their algorithms so that they keep kind of finding more and more ways to make sure that people work hard for the money, work hard for the rankings. You know, and that's in providing valuable, relevant, authoritative content on your website. And we'll touch on that. But if we start with Google Ads, right? Let's just quickly talk a little bit about how Google Ads works. I think that a lot of people I speak to, I'm still surprised by the fact that they don't know how it works. They don't know that it uses a daily budget. So that means that if you decide to have a daily budget of $50 or $100, you're going to spend 30 times that amount in a month, give or take.
I mean,
pretty much
simplified, but
And so let's say your daily budget's $50, and the keyword that you're targeting is cost per click of $5. You're going to get 10 clicks on average a day, and when you've got those 10 clicks, your ad will come down until the next day when your daily budget has been refreshed.
Exactly.
So, you know, you said that it was expensive before. I agree, and it's getting more and more expensive all the time. Although it's not expensive in the context of, in comparison to traditional media. You know, like maybe for a painter or a fencer, that you could get a little ad in the local paper, and you'd get calls out of that, and it only costs $200, right, for the whole month or thereabouts. But really, like for businesses that wanted to be on TV or radio, there was often 6-figure quotes from people. You know, 20 grand, 100 grand. Some people spending even more. So when you put it in the same kind of bracket as advertising traditionally on big media, it's about the same. Like if you'd actually get better results, I believe, from a 100 grand on Google Ads these days for certain. The same business, same offer on TV or radio. Well,
there's a good insight there, and Bill's exactly right. All of these channels, when I say they're expensive, they're expensive in comparison to each other,
and expensive also in the context of what people expect to pay Google. People often think digital marketing, or they think, the internet, I'm going to make millions and it's going to cost me 10 cents. You know, it's maybe was the case when it first came out in the .com era, right? But now it's just like all the other media platforms out there. It's a real deal, but you have to give it. You have to kind of spend the money, right?
Yeah, and the reason, and for anyone who's listening to this anywhere around the world, the reason that your local papers have gone under, and that your local radio stations are going under, and your phone books are the size of a postcard these days, the reason for that is that digital marketing exists, and I'm aware that most people listening to this will know that, but just to qualify what that means, or to qualify why that happens, if I went to a radio station and I gave them a budget of $50,000 to advertise my company, I would get $50,000 worth of airtime, radio play, run of channel, whatever it's called, whatever you're buying from that radio station. However, at the end of it, there's no quantifiable metrics to say how many people heard it. Those the numbers that they do give you are not accurate. They can't follow up with how many people became customers. Any any increase that you might have seen is all conjecture. Whereas digital marketing, when done properly, it can tell you exactly how much you spent, where you spent it, what your return was on it, especially in something like e-commerce. With something like lead generation, it can tell you exactly how many clicks you got and what your conversion rate was and stuff like that. So if you're a small to medium-sized business, and let's say you've got 10 grand to spend over a month, 6 months, whatever it might be, if you spend that money in digital marketing, you are going to get, in my experience, you are going to get much better returns than you would from
offline media.
Offline, yeah. Side of bus stops, stuff like that. Yeah,
I agree. I think another major advantage with digital is, and more specifically Google, same with social as well and SEO, but with Google is that you can set the bar lower. You can ask for a lower level of commitment from people who have engaged with your ads, and collect their data, get their details. You can offer a free high-value content offer. You can offer a free download. You can
make the phone ring,
book in a strategy, make the phone ring, things like that, where, with offline media, people may have been kind of semi-interested in what it was you're offering, but 2 minutes later, they've forgotten that they even saw the ad, right? Or even heard the ad on the radio, and you didn't capitalize on that window of opportunity when they were semi-interested to grab their email or grab their phone number, or, get them to download something for free. So there's that, plus targeting, obviously, gender, demographics, psychographics, all these ways of targeting people who you know are more likely to be your audience. The reason why I like Google Ads so much also is because you can't get any more qualified than someone who's pulled out their phone or sat down at their computer, opened Google, and searched for the goods or services that you're offering. That is about as qualified as you're going to get.
So that leads me neatly into my next point. With Google Ads, think about it this way. You are buying traffic. I mean, that's all you're doing. You're just buying traffic, right? So the aim is to buy the most relevant traffic you can buy. And you want to send that traffic to a website that's been well built so that people actually reach out. So if you think about it in those terms, Google Ads is all about buying traffic on keywords. And a keyword is something that stipulates, or something that you stipulate to the system and say, this is what I want to buy traffic on. So if I'm a plumber in Alice Springs, then I'm going to use the keyword plumber Alice Springs. And that's going to be relevant to me. And if I send that traffic to a page that says plumber Alice Springs, which is a town in regional Australia, then people who visit that page, some of them will reach out. And if I send 100 people, on a good day, I might get 10 of those people reaching out and saying, hi, I need a plumber in Alice Springs. Can you come round today? So it's all about balancing it. It's all about balancing the investment versus the return. If I spend, again, hypothetical numbers, if I spend $500 in a single day on buying traffic for the keyword plumber in Alice Springs, I'm going to get some inquiries. If my website's been set up properly, I'm going to get some inquiries. If I'm good at my job and I'm a good plumber and I can convert them, I can say, yeah, I'll be out there this afternoon. I might get 4 or 5 jobs out of that. Out of those 4 or 5 jobs, an average plumber might make, I don't know, 8, 6, 7, 9 grand.
Yep. And
once you've done that, you've spent 500, you've made 6 grand from 8 or 10 jobs, and you just keep doing that day after day.
So I think what you're talking about there, some of the language that people in our industry often use. Some business owners are privy to this. Most aren't. It's surprising to me that most business owners that you've got. It's not actually that surprising. I get it. Even as a business owner myself, I think that sometimes people put me on the spot and ask me a question like, "What's your lifetime value?" or "What's your, average cost per acquisition of a new customer?" And you're kind of like, "Oh, I haven't looked at that for a while," and most people don't even know and never looked at it. So, but it's numbers that are key for you to understand, and they're also numbers that if you're out there reaching out to agencies, talking to business consultants, talking to banks for loans and things like that, or even trying to get a valuation on your business, they're the numbers that matter. They're the numbers that everyone will ask you. And so I'll just quickly run through a couple to help you guys understand what some of this jargon is. When you talk about conversion rates, you're talking about how many visitors do you need to your landing page or your website before someone converts. And by converts, I mean pick up the phone and ring you, fill out a contact form, or buy a product on your e-commerce website. So that's your conversion rate, right?
Yeah, if 10 people visit your website and one reaches out, you have a 10% conversion rate.
Right, exactly. So it's conversions divided by visitors, right? Pretty much is the conversion rate. Then once you've got your conversion rate, you need to know if it's for a lead-based business, how many leads do you need to make a customer, right? To get a customer, acquire a new customer. So then once you know, if you go back through your data and you say, okay, over the last 6 months, I've had 100 leads and I got 30 customers out of it, then you know that your acquisition rate is about 30%. And you can work out easily from there what your cost per acquisition of a new customer is.
Yeah.
Right. So once you've got your cost per acquisition of a new customer, then you need to look at your lifetime value of a customer. And this is harder to do than most people think.
I'm just wondering if this is going too deep on the Google Ads, considering we're supposed to be...
You didn't give me the horns, though. You're going to give me the... Yeah. All right, so I'll wrap it up, right? I'll wrap it up because this is useful information for people to know. I know that it's just general business stuff, but it's applicable to Google Ads because then you know how much to spend. You know how much, whether or not you're making money from your spend, and you know whether or not you can scale it, you can turn it up, or you need to hire someone, and you can have expectations in regards to how many new customers you'll get and how much they're worth to you. Lifetime value, usually people don't want to wait more than 12 months to get their return on their investment. So if you just work out how much do you make out of someone in a year, generally, and if it's a plumber or an on-the-spot service or a one-off thing, then it's just your average sale value. So you can go back to the last 10 quotes you won or the last 10 clients you acquired and just take an average of those 10. Then you know what your cost per acquisition of a new customer is versus lifetime value of a customer. And then you know if you've got something that's profitable and you can scale it. Told you I was wrapping it up, Gary. That's the end of it, mate.
So, okay. So moving on to how to get traffic on your website, point 2, SEO.
Yeah.
SEO works in a very similar way in that people go to Google, they type in a keyword, plumber, location, something like that, and then they find your page and they visit your page. But unlike Google Ads, where you've had to pay for that click, the clicks are free. The thing is, you don't get to page 1 easily. You know, let's say, I'll use a very simple explanation. Let's say there's a small town, let's say, I don't know, Coffs Harbour, which is another regional town in Australia. Let's say there are 10 hotels, and they all want to show up for Hotel Coffs Harbour. Okay, now if the other 10 hotels, and you're a new one, so you're going to be hotel number 11. If the other 10 hotels have been open forever, and they've built their websites well, and they've ticked all the boxes that Google want ticking, so that the pages are laid out properly, the images are titled properly, the pages have Hotel Coffs Harbour written on it a number of times, Google's going to know what those pages are about, and it's going to put a hotel at position 1. It's going to put another hotel at position 2, and a third hotel obviously will go at position 3. What you're trying to do with SEO is to say, okay, my hotel, which is now the 11th hotel in this small town of Coffs Harbour, I want to knock those other guys off of the first spot. I want to push them down. And to do that, you're going to need to play the SEO game better than they're playing it, which means you need to invest more time into building the website. You need to invest more time into the strategy that goes into the website, because once you get a position 1 ranking on SEO in the organic rankings of a Google results page, you're going to get more traffic and it will be free. You know, with Google Ads, you, like Bill said, you have to pay for the traffic, and once your budget's expired, it's gone. Your ad comes down. You stop showing up. Once you are position 1 for SEO, you stay there. Not indefinitely. You have to keep working on your SEO. You know, a couple of months might go by and it might drop down. But if you're doing SEO properly, then you will stay there and you will get a lot more traffic from SEO than you ever would from Google Ads. This is not like a fixed rule that everybody has to follow, but if you can get all of your traffic from SEO, your business will be healthier.
Yes.
If you don't have to give Google money, don't.
Yep.
And one thing that I told you recently that I think you liked, and that will make it make sense for people, Google Ads is equivalent to paying rent. You know, you get to live in the house while you pay the rent, but the moment you stop paying the rent, it's gone, and you have to move out. And SEO is like paying your mortgage. And if you pay your mortgage properly and on time, then it grows. You know, your rankings grow, you get more traffic, and it's just better for you.
Yeah.
SEO, do we want to go into any of the slight technicals about how it works?
I think that it'd be worthwhile for people maybe out there that are trying to kind of do this on a shoestring budget, you know, bootstrap their business there's some really basic things you can do yourself that will give you a better chance of ranking well on Google.
Yep.
If we just run through the kind of the top level stuff, there's more technical things that you can do, in the code, acquiring backlinks, which is basically other websites that link to your website.
Yeah.
Everyone out there's seen, you're reading a blog article and a phrase or a word in the article is actually a link that you can click on. It takes you to another website.
Now, the Hotel Coffs Harbour would be a good one because there might be an article out there for the top 5 hotels in Coffs Harbour.
Yeah.
Now, if you're a new hotel at position 11, the top of page 2, but you can find the people who are writing the content about the best 5 hotels in Coffs Harbour.
Yep.
If you can get your hotel reviewed on that page,
yep,
and then it will link to your website, that's going to drive traffic to your website.
Yep.
But it's also going to give a signal to Google that some third party, whoever it is, the person writing this blog, some third party has seen your hotel, seen your website, and thinks that you're worthy of note. You're worthy of going into the top 5.
Yep.
Now, as a signal, Google's a big algorithm, but it's going to look at that and it's going to like it. And that's going to help you move up.
It's kind of like a recommendation.
Yeah.
And not all recommendations are equal. So, if a homeless person tells you to check out the fish and chip shop down the road, you might not be as likely to actually check it out than if the Prime Minister of Australia recommended the fish and chip shop down the road. Just to use an example, not everyone will actually do what the Prime Minister says for them to do. Clearly not. At least quite a few people have not done what he said to do recently.
Let's not go into that.
Yeah. So, backlinks are an interesting thing. They're a commodity. They're bought and sold. There's a whole marketplace for them.
Yep.
And that's a whole rabbit hole, right? Like it's a whole rabbit hole.
And there will be an episode coming up on a deep dive into SEO.
Yeah, definitely.
How to make it work. This is just cliff notes.
So backlinks are what people refer to when they say offsite SEO.
Yeah.
So it's how you can improve your rankings with, in other ways other than actually changing your website.
Yeah.
Right. And like Gary said, we'll get into that. On your website, it's important that first and foremost, your content is unique. You cannot cut and paste content from other websites.
No, you can't.
Put it on your website. Not only will it not rank, Google potentially won't even index it. Right. So
which means Google won't see it. They'll ignore it. They'll close their eyes and pretend it doesn't exist.
Yeah, that's right. You'll be ostracized.
Yeah.
So don't cut and paste content. You can use other content as inspiration as long as you rewrite it, and make it your own.
Mm-hmm.
Remember that people are always looking for answers when it comes to Google. So there's a difference between the kind of content that would be on a page that you're driving traffic to through Google Ads.
Mm-hmm.
That is more of like a promotional offer. People are looking to make a transaction. That's a commercial search. So you put up there things that will build your business's, the likelihood of your business to be desired, so that would be like social proof, credibility, risk reversal, other marketing things.
Yeah.
There's not as much room for that on your website if you're going for SEO rankings. What you need on your website if you're going for SEO rankings is useful information that's relevant to the services that you offer.
Yeah.
The kinds of things that people will be looking for. Pricing is fine. You can put pricing on your website. In fact, I've seen some good examples of where that's worked really well with Google. They've preferred websites because they know people are looking for prices.
Mm-hmm.
If you were to try to understand or think back to the calls that you've had, what are the most
Mm-hmm.
common questions people ask when calling and asking and inquiring about your services or your goods? Answer those questions on that page or on that website. Don't target more than 1 or 2 keywords max per page. So if you have a service page or if you have service pages and you've got, block drains, emergency plumber, toilet leaking, whatever it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
Different types of services plumbers offer. You only target the specific keywords relevant to those services pages. You don't just target plumber Sydney on every page, right?
Yeah. So an example, 'cause one of the things we said at the very start of these podcast series is that the reason we've put this together is we often receive the same questions day in, day out from very similar types of people who are looking to set up a company. One of the ways I explain how SEO works that seems to cut, people seem to get. I've been watching Yellowstone, the TV show.
It was recommended to me. I haven't seen it.
By me. It was recommended by me. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Watch it. Now, to make this relevant to any Americans who might be listening and to people in Yellowstone, let's say you were a rancher in Billings, Montana. Now, let's say that there's 5 websites for Ranch, Billings, Montana. If all of those other websites only mentioned that keyword, Ranch, Billings, Montana, 4 times, and you create a new website, and your website says Ranch, Billings, Montana 10 times, I mean, this is a gross over-exaggeration, oversimplification. If your website mentions it 10 times and all the competition mention it 5 times, then Google's going to look at yours and think you're the most relevant because you say Ranch, Billings, Montana more than anyone else does. So that's going to be a very good signal to Google that you are more relevant.
I'm going to have to disagree with you, Gary. Because
you're going into the technicals.
It's very simplified.
It is. I'm just trying to explain it to people who don't understand.
Yes.
So that they can understand the logic.
Yeah,
you want
definitely.
You want to signify to Google.
You're talking about keyword density, which is a technical SEO aspect.
You want to signify to Google that you are more relevant than the others.
Yes.
And by mentioning the keyword more times, you are technically saying that you're more relevant. There are nuances to that. And
it's not that simple, but generally that's kind of, I suppose, true, yes. The other thing that you could do is talk about the history of the area or something to give more relevant, related semantic information for that.
Yeah.
So don't just keyword stuff your website though, because it won't work.
Yeah. No, and if someone says
that can be taken way too far.
Yeah, and if someone who is selling you a website for cheap says that they're going to do that, take it with a pinch of salt, but it might not be the best approach. My example of putting the keyword on there more times than the competition is just to explain that you want to signify to the search engines that your website is more relevant than the competition.
Yep.
That way you will get to the top of page one faster.
You can get away with doing that as long as your primary objective is useful content for the user. Google has evolved so much now that it knows when you're trying to keyword stuff or when you're actually offering legitimately useful information.
Exactly.
Yep.
Okay, so Maps.
Yep.
Maps is a side note to SEO.
Yep.
Google Maps is a fantastic platform.
The snack pack.
Yeah. It's, basically you don't even, obviously we all always recommend having a website, but there are many businesses that don't require a website. And I have worked with a number of companies in the past who were able to get more than enough inquiries to keep their doors open and keep their lights on just by having a strong Google Maps listing. The fact that Google provides the entire Maps ecosystem for free blows my mind. They could quite easily charge for it.
There was talk of them charging for it for a while there.
They do charge. It is monetized in some way. So if you have a website that incorporates Maps functionality, like when you go to a website and there's a Find Us page, and if that page gets more than a certain number of visitors, then you have to pay Google for the use of the API for that Maps.
The Google Cloud thing.
That's going technical. My whole point is, for people who are looking at setting up a company for the first time and they're trying to maximize the traffic that they're going to get from search engines onto their website, the Google Maps listing, a well-optimized Google Maps listing, is an absolute slam dunk. It's not so much relevant for e-commerce companies, but for anyone out there who's looking for a lead gen company or a service provider company, or going back to episodes past, a photographer in Dubbo, for example, someone goes to Google and searches for photographer Dubbo, you might not have a Google ad running because you don't have the budget, and your SEO might not have kicked in yet, even if you're doing it because you could be new and it takes 6 months for SEO to kick in. But after a couple of days of setting up a Maps listing, if you've done it right, you can be on page 1 with a Maps listing for photographer Dubbo, as an example. And they're not difficult. It's one of those things that I would say even a complete noob to the industry, a business owner setting this up for the first time, would be able to figure out. Go to Google, search for Google My Business, Google Maps listings, whatever it's called these days.
GBP.
Yeah.
Google Business Places.
Whatever it's called now, it's going to be
Google Business Profile.
It's going to be something different in 6 weeks because they change its name so often.
Yes.
But by creating that, you can get traffic quickly.
Yep.
I have an older brother who's a physiotherapist in Yorkshire in England, and he has one. And his website is not ranking well because it's quite new. And even though we're doing SEO on it, it takes time to kick in. When his phone rings, it rings because of the Maps listing. Someone goes to Google and types in physio near me. And, some people will, what's the word I'm looking for? Gravitate towards the local listings because they want to find a local service provider.
If you're looking for a pet shop, a barber shop, a hair salon, a cinema, a restaurant, anything that you're actually physically going to go to, that's usually primarily going to take the focus. The maps section is going to take the focus. Look, any search has hundreds of maps listings, available, but you have to actually click on maps in the search result to see them all.
Well, yeah.
But then there's the top 3 that get the special, what's termed in the industry as the snack pack. So you'll see if you search anything near me or anything that people generally go to, like restaurants, salons, cinemas, shops, bricks and mortar, that'll usually render like a snack pack result, or there'll be maps embedded in the search results page, and there'll only be 3 listed there.
Yeah.
That's what everyone's kind of fighting over. It's a little bit more ambiguous than your normal SEO campaign. SEO, you can pay for backlinks or acquire backlinks.
Mm-hmm.
You can write blogs. You can optimize your website. Your rankings are going to go up.
Yeah.
Maps is different. Maps references other online directories. So there's a thing called NAP, or it stands for name, address, phone. And it's something to know. It's important. If you're setting up a new business and one of the things you're doing is listing your business in directories online, the name, address, phone number should be completely uniform across all what we call local citations.
Opening hours, stuff like that.
Yeah, like even if it's a Sydney number or a location-based number, if you put in brackets 02, then the 02 should be in brackets on your maps and on every directory as well. If you put +61 for a mobile number, it should put +61. It has to be completely uniform across all local citations.
Yep.
That's one of the best ways that you can ensure that your maps has the best chance of coming up in that snack pack.
So if you are talking directly to the audience, if you are looking at creating a company and you've done everything that we've talked about in the previous episodes, one thing that you can do yourself that you can always pay someone to do it, but one thing you can do yourself is go online, Google search how to optimize a maps listing, and that will bring up myriad blocks. One that I've written myself a couple of years ago, and it will explain how to optimize it and what level of effort to put in. It's a similar situation to SEOing your website. The more effort you put in, the better chance you have of Google showing you up. Because if someone creates a maps listing that only has half an hour's worth of effort gone into it, and you put lots of photographs, you make sure that, like Bill says, that all of your information is matched across all of the other citations, all of the other directories, yellow pages, whatever it is in your area.
Local, yellow pages, Hot Frog, Gumtree,
phone books, generally. If all of that matches, you do stand a good chance of appearing on the first page of Google for the services that you provide. There's a caveat that I would make everyone aware of.
Side note.
In a small to medium-sized town, this is going to be easier, right? Because there's going to be fewer competitors.
Yep.
So, to show up for photographer Dubbo, if there's only 2 other photographers in town, then it's going to be quite easy to get there.
Also, if you don't want people to know your address, I know a lot of people are freaked out about putting maps listings up because they don't want their address.
Yeah, you don't have to do that.
Yeah, so you might not have an office space or a workshop or
photographer, exactly. Might work from home, and you don't want people coming around.
There's a box you can tick to say don't show my address.
Yeah. Right. And then to extend on that side note, or to expand on that side note, caveat. If you are in the small towns, that works. We're in a metropolitan city of 5 million people here in Sydney. If I wanted to show up for Photographer Sydney in the maps listings, I have no chance. However, if I wanted to optimize my listings for my local suburb and say show up for Photographer Strathfield, much better chance of that happening. So don't try to bite off more than you can chew. Don't think, I'm a photographer in LA. I can show up in the maps listings for Photographer LA. No chance. Never going to happen. Not in maybe in a decade.
Could get lucky.
Not going to happen soon.
Yep.
Play the game. If you're a photographer in West Hollywood, say you're in West Hollywood, rather than saying that you're
try and take over the world.
Yeah.
Rather than say I service all of the states. Let's see how much traffic I can get.
Exactly. And the local area thing. That's what Maps is for. People in your local area looking for your services as a local service provider.
Yep.
Years ago, Google used to say that 2/3 of all searches on Google were for local services. I don't know if that's still the same.
Yep.
But once upon a time, that's what they used to say.
Cool.
So a maps listing is an absolute slam dunk. And we
haven't even touched on social media yet.
Well, we should go into it on the broad strokes.
Okay.
Social media is a platform where you can advertise.
Man, I feel like we should be doing. We really need to give this, and we're going to do an episode on each of these.
We are. This is supposed to be an intro to each one.
Social media is a mammoth because it encompasses multiple platforms. Generally and traditionally, with a loose use of the term traditional, but social media has been what's now called the Meta platform. It means Facebook and Instagram, pretty much. Inside that Meta platform, you've got Instagram and other placements like messenger ads, audience networks ads. It comes up in all sorts of different places. But if you're basically on Facebook or Instagram, your ads can be seen pretty much anywhere in their stories, news feeds, desktop.
Let me take this from a different angle. So the first two that we talked about, Google Ads and SEO, if you can get traffic from those, including the maps listing and the SEO, if you can get traffic from those, it's high intent traffic because someone's gone to Google and typed in your service or your product or whatever it is. They've gone looking for you. With social media, and not opening this kind of worms until we get to the proper social media episode, with social media, your adverts don't have that level of intent.
No, you're interrupting people.
Yeah, you're trying to put an advert into their feed.
Yep.
And you might do that based on certain parameters. For example, if you are selling a campaign that we work on at the moment, I won't name the company, but they sell activity days. And it's always things like archery or shooting or drive a Formula 1 car or something like that. We don't, on social media, a very small amount of our budget is spent on advertising to men. The lion's share of that budget is pushed into the feed of women who we have identified to be over a certain age and quite likely to be married. And we advertise a thing that says, buy this for your husband's birthday. Now, that's only going to work at a certain time of year when it's coming up towards the husband's birthday. But then if we can intersect with that person at the right moment, when a wife is considering what to buy a husband for a birthday, if you can show an advert that says, go quad biking, that works. And you just have to find the right audience at the right time. If you're a photographer in a small town and you're trying to figure out what's going to have the best return on investment, advertising on social media is probably not where you want to start spending your money in the beginning. Because you're going to have to try to intersect with people at the right moment, at the right time, find the right person.
Unless it's wedding photography, it could potentially work, and I've seen it work well you can target people who recently got engaged.
Well, I was going to go into
there are some unique circumstances where it would work, but I agree with you, Gary, that you'd be better off just having a Google ad come up at the top, saying wedding photography for someone who's actually searching for a wedding photographer at that time, right?
Yeah, I mean, social media absolutely has its place.
Yep.
SEO has its place. Google Ads has its place.
Yep.
It's just a case of if we're talking to our audience, the audience we believe are consuming this podcast, hopefully they're people who are in the market to open a business. They're thinking about doing that and they want to know what steps to take.
Does it work the same as Google Ads, Gary? Is there a daily budget?
There is. There's different ways of doing it, but you would spend a certain amount of money per
cost
day.
Per click?
Again, it depends on what you want to achieve.
Yep.
So you might advertise based on the number of impressions you want to serve.
I think they make you do that at the start, right? When you first start a Facebook campaign, you have to pay per 1,000 impressions.
Right.
They don't give you a choice. Once I think you've got over a certain amount of impressions, they'll let you bid for clicks.
You can also bid for engagements as well.
Yep.
So with social media, like Google Ads sends traffic to your website, SEO sends traffic to your website. On social media platforms like LinkedIn or Facebook or whatever, you don't have to send traffic to your website. So there's a caveat coming up. But you can just run an advert in someone's Facebook feed that says, would you like more information about activity days for your husband's birthday? And they can fill out the form. And then that company would receive...
On the platform. They don't go to your website to fill out the form. They fill it out on Facebook.
Yeah. So the caveat to social media advertising is that you can do it without a website. Which again, like this is always nuanced. There's different angles. The things we're talking about are not simple, and we're doing our best to simplify them down. So
why would a business go on social media rather than Google Ads?
It would depend on the service that they're offering.
Yep.
Okay, so let's say I receive an inquiry, and it's a new restaurant.
Yes.
And to simplify things, they're in a small to medium-sized town, right? If they're in an Italian restaurant, I would, it's the sort of thing that you might just want to broadcast. If people go to Google and type in Italian restaurant near me, great, you absolutely want to show up. But if it's just a case of getting bums on seat in your restaurant on opening night, you might want to go and say, okay, well, we're in Billings, Montana. We're opening this Italian restaurant. We want to throw a blanket over the whole town. And for the next 3 weeks, we want to advertise that this restaurant will be opening on Friday night. And there's going to be a bouncy castle. There's going to be balloons. There's going to be clowns for the kids. It's going to be a fun day. Come down. That might be the sort of advert you would run on social media.
You can geographically target social media campaigns, right?
Yeah, exactly. You could just, like I said, throw a blanket. When I say throw a blanket, I mean you basically geotarget the town and say, I want people in this town to see this advert because it's going to be relevant for them.
Yes.
Yeah. You wouldn't do that for a wedding photographer.
Yep.
Because 99% of your audience, probably more than 99% of your audience,
already been married twice.
Yeah, they're not looking for a wedding photographer in that moment. Yeah.
So
you'd have more luck advertising a divorce lawyer.
That's sad.
Social media.
Sad but true. Look, I think that also something I've heard people say time and time again is that their customers aren't on Facebook or their customers aren't on Instagram or on, social media. Sorry, I've got a frog in my throat. That's not true. It's not even close to true. Your customers, everyone's on social media, pretty much. My 92-year-old grandfather's on social media. You know what I mean? There's people who are on social media. Everyone's on it. In fact, even to the degree that I've found we have in the past and are running TikTok ads for ourselves and for clients. And when we run campaigns for us, I've spoken to 60, 65-year-old CEOs of multinational tens of millions of dollar turnover companies that saw our ad on TikTok.
Yeah.
Right. So you'd be surprised.
There's the fact to point out here is the perception fallacy.
Yep.
So just because the owner of the company who is setting up this company, just because they may not be online or because they only use Instagram rather than Facebook, just because you only use one platform doesn't mean your audience only uses one platform. And especially going back to that Italian restaurant example, who is a great case for running social rather than Google and SEO. Just because if you're opening that Italian restaurant, just because you only use TikTok doesn't mean that the people who would come down to your restaurant don't use Facebook. So you should absolutely...
What's it called? Perception
fallacy.
Fallacy, right.
Yeah, so that's just the way I see things. So I believe that's how everybody sees things.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah. Okay, so that's an outline of how social media works. As an ads platform, it has its place and time. Remarketing is, and we'll just cover this one in cliff notes because it happens across the whole of the digital marketing ecosphere. Everybody knows what it is once we explain it.
It will have happened to everyone.
Yes. You go on a website, you look at flights from Sydney to Jakarta, and then 10 minutes later you're on another website and you see adverts for flights from Sydney to Jakarta. That company has placed a cookie on your device, on your laptop, your phone, whatever, and they have said that this person was interested enough to visit our website, so I want to keep showing them adverts. And in certain circumstances, let's say, I'll run for a few, the photographer trying to do wedding photography. If someone's engaged in getting married and you've got them through to your website with Google Ads, you absolutely want to keep talking to them with remarketing because they're still getting married and maybe they haven't booked anyone yet.
Yes.
So you might remarket to that person for a couple of months.
Yes.
Right. If someone's looking for an electrician in Strathfield, you would still want to remarket to them, but maybe only for 4 or 5 days. Because once you've looked for the electrician, if you haven't booked one, you're not going to book one. And if you have booked one, they've booked someone else.
I'm a big believer in remarketing, Gary.
Yeah.
I think it's a powerful thing. If you can imagine being able to do this, imagine being able to say, I want to run a TV advertisement selling vacuum cleaners.
Yep.
Right. And then 6 months later, you come back and say, all right, I want to run another TV advertisement, but I only want people who were interested in my vacuum cleaners the first time I ran these ads, who haven't yet bought a vacuum cleaner to see these ads again. Right. That's what you can do with digital marketing.
Yeah,
that's what remarketing is.
And then you can segment it down and say, I want to show an advert to women and an advert to men.
Or I want to retarget people who bought a vacuum cleaner 3 months ago and are going to need new vacuum cleaner bags.
Yeah.
Right. So I want to run bag ads to them. So it's a very, very powerful component to digital marketing, I think.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Kanchu's in the window. Hi, Kanchu.
Oh, he needs my attention. He always needs my attention.
He always wants something, doesn't he? Love Kanchu. All right. Cool. That's it. That's a wrap. Recap of what we just talked about. We touched on the difference between, or at least the basics behind Google Ads, SEO, maps, social media, and remarketing.
Yeah.
Reach out to us in the comments if you want. You got any questions? Our next episode coming up is a deep dive into Google Ads. We're going to get more technical.
Yeah.
We're going to describe in more detail the difference between campaigns that work and campaigns that don't.
Yeah.
And further equip you and empower you to make the right decisions with your business.
And how to spot, if you are going to run it yourself, how to run it. And if you're going to get someone else to run it, how to spot a liar who doesn't know what they're doing, and how to trust what Google says.
Yeah, right. That's an important one these days.
Yeah, it is.
Cool. Thanks, guys. Hope this helps, and look forward to seeing you on the next episode.
Yeah. By all means, request any requests that you've got. We'd love to hear them.
Any requests?
Send us any requests.
Can't say the same word twice.
No. Like, comment, subscribe.
Yeah, like, comment, subscribe, and all that.
Cheers,
See
guys.
ya.
Bye-bye.
Bye.